Welcome back to the MBM Vault live from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca. We're your hosts, Nicholas Carlo
and Sophie Young, and this show is all about industry news and most importantly, fun. Before we begin, we have some announcements to make.
We are collaborating with the Biltmore Theater to give away 2 tickets to the Brothers Wild concert, who are playing next Thursday, March 13th. One lucky winner will receive the tickets, as well as a Biltmore tote bag and some Brothers Wild merch. Mark your calendar for the show, and make sure to check our Instagram soon for more information on the giveaway. Thank you to the Biltmore Theater and Brothers Wild.
Today we'll be interviewing an Italian-Canadian alt-pop artist who has performed songs to sold-out venues around Toronto, including El Mocambo, Horseshoe Tavern, Lee's Palace, and the Axis Club. Please welcome Alessandro Montelli.
What's up? How you doing, guys?
Good.
How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me, first of all.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
That's an impressive range of venues there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few ones that I haven't played in Toronto. I'm not gonna lie about that, but yeah, I had fun in the past couple of years, I guess.
Yeah. I've been at Axis Club shows and they're
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, it was called the Mod Club, right? Before.
Oh yeah.
And I used to go there for a couple of shows. Then finally, I got the chance to play there.
Yeah.
It was one of the best sounds and
it's
stages,
great
to be
venue.
honest, in the city. Yeah.
So tell us more about your music upbringing, specifically in Italy, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Italy, as I was telling you off the cameras, I guess. I grew up in a small town called Bitrito, which is near one of the biggest city in the south of Italy called Bari. And I grew up by the coast, the east coast in Italy. And I was there up until I was 25. And long story short, because my mom was born here from Italian-Canadian immigrants and whatnot, I always wanted to experience life in Canada, in Toronto. I came here multiple times as a kid, back and forth to just visit family and, for the summer or whatever, Canada Wonderland and stuff like that, right? And, in 2016, I just kind of took I don't want to say a leap of faith, but you know what I mean? Like, I kind of left everything I had in Italy, the little bit that I have done until that point with my music career there, releasing a single, participating in TV shows and contests and all of that, and I decided to kind of start all over from from scratch in Toronto, which wasn't easy.
No.
But yeah, I like to remind myself that in almost 9 years that I've been here, I made a lot of connections and I was able to push myself and put myself out there, which is at the end of the day, it's the most important thing to just do what you like, do what you love, and share that with people.
Yeah. So where are you from in Italy? It must be warm.
It's warm. Yeah, it's probably like 17 degrees right now still.
I wish.
We don't really have cold winters.
Nice.
The coldest it gets, if you're lucky or unlucky, I don't know which way you want to see it, 0 degrees and barely snows in the south of Italy. So
yeah.
I miss that.
I've been to Italy before, so I know this. It's like the north and the south in terms of climate are like drastically
Totally
different.
Yeah.
Because I went to, it was Rome, Florence, and Milan. Milan was just way colder than the rest.
Yeah. Milan is usually like foggy. It's known to be foggy and rainy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's kind of like Vancouver when we think of right?
Yeah.
When we think of it here in Canada. I've never been to Florence. That's somewhere I want to go, especially for the art and all of that I studied growing up in Italy. But yeah, you're right. The two different weathers, and south of Italy is known for beautiful Jamaican-looking beaches, and people from the north come to the south to just vacation or whatever holiday.
Yeah.
So tell us more about like the transition, like with the music industry coming from Italy to Canada, and like kind of like you said, starting from scratch. Like, tell us more about the details about how that went.
Yeah. I came here basically not knowing anyone in the music industry. That's the truth. I knew my family, my cousins, but they're all in food businesses and other stuff. And when I came here, I just had to slowly connect with people. Volunteer for music festivals. I've done Indie Week, Canadian Music Week, Field Trip Festival. I don't know if you guys remember that, and I don't know if it's still around.
Yeah.
But I've done a couple of those. Started connecting with people. Started traveling from Vaughan to downtown and coming back at 4 in the morning with my grandparents, kind of not being upset, but being like, oh, why are you going all the way
Yeah.
downtown, coming back this late? I don't understand. Keep in mind, I was 25. I'm 33 now, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they were kind of feeling responsible for that, and they didn't know which direction I was going. They still don't know that, to be honest. But yeah, I came here, started making connection that way, I would say. Yeah.
Nice. So,
Do you have any favorite performances that you've done? Like you talked about some of the venues you played
Yeah.
at in Toronto.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what are some of your favorites?
I mean, right away, I think about the Lemmon Stage showcase at the Mocambo,
mhm.
which, in my view at least, had the most build up for hype and for like preparing to show day. And so a lot of people also showed up, and it was nice to have all people that I know, musicians in the industry, friends, a couple of industry people and whatnot. So it was a pretty packed venue that night. And
Yeah.
it was great. Yeah,
Good energy.
yeah, for
nice.
sure.
It always helps when the crowd's like really.
Say that
into-
again?
It always helps when the crowd's like really into it.
Yeah, and as you might know, if you guys go to
Yeah.
shows, it's not always like that. It's
No.
always easy to bring people
Yeah.
out. Sometimes you got to perform in front of 10 people, 20
Yeah.
people, right? But that night I feel like it was 150 people. Like
Yeah.
the space downstairs was packed, and that's the thing I remember the most. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your favorite instruments to play? Maybe live or in the studio?
Yeah, I would say drums. Even
Yeah?
though I don't play drums live. Are you a drummer too?
Yeah,
You are. Nice.
I've only been playing for about a year, but yeah.
I have a-
Okay.
I have a drum kit at home.
Nice. I need to get one of those. I have one in Italy because my brother he's also a musician. He's a beatboxer and
Mhm.
whatnot. But he took drums lesson while I was taking mostly piano lessons for
Mhm.
10 years. And then I slowly transitioned into guitar, starting writing songs with guitar, which I'm comfortable with today. And drums is just something like that I always want to, if I'm in a space where there's a drum kit, I want to sit and just
Yeah.
ba.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of feel like I want to do that soon and rent a room or something because I haven't done it in a while. But yeah, I usually perform with guitar, so
Mhm.
I guess realistically that's my favorite instrument because it's the one I feel most comfortable performing with nowadays.
I mean, you could have more than one favorite instrument.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess.
So what does your like creative process look like? Like when you go in the studio or just like maybe at home, do you just come up with an idea? Like how does it
Yeah.
go?
It depends. Like I always feel like, at least for writing songs, I sometimes I always wait to the inspiring moment.
Yeah.
So like right now I'm living like a great relationships that it started like 3 months ago, whatever, and started writing more based on what I'm feeling with that.
Mm-hmm.
When you go in studio, depends, right? I've set up a couple of songwriting sessions with other musicians or songwriters in the industry, or even with my producer in Vaughan, and there's has been times where we just sit there late night and come up with,
Mm-hmm.
he would show me a beat and I would write to it. That's what I find faster and
Yeah.
easier. If I gotta wait for myself to write something from scratch, it's tricky, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? But yeah, I would say I've been writing since I was 15,
Mhm.
so there has been at least a way to build a catalog or songs, but they always come from stuff that I live
Yeah.
every day or relationships.
I mean, that's how you get the most authentic music as well.
yeah, I would say so too.
And that's the luxury of working in the music industry, where it's like you don't always have to feel like, oh, I have to work this shift and like hopefully I have ideas. It's just like if you have the idea, then you go in, and then if you don't, then you can think of other stuff to do. Like you can work on your own schedule most of the time.
Yeah, that's fair. We do enjoy the flexibility of it all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And managing a job with doing music sometimes, right? It does work as a muscle, though. That's the one thing that I heard from, I don't know if it was Ed Sheeran or something, but you kind of got to sit down every day and force yourself to write. You
Mhm.
know, it's like when you do
Oh yeah, I've
journaling
heard that
or
too.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm guilty of not always doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess that's something I want to improve.
Neat. Yeah. Coming up after the break, we'll be talking with Alessandro more about his releases and time as an artist.
Don't forget that you can follow the Media Hub on social media at DCSA Media Hub, and you can also follow us at the MBM Vault on TikTok and at MBM Vault on Twitter and Instagram.
we're going to play some music. Here's Whistle Song and You All Have a BF by Alessandro himself, live from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca. Welcome back to the MBM Vault. We're your hosts, Nicholas Carlo
and Sophie Young, and we are back with Alessandro to discuss his upcoming work as an artist and learn more about his creative process as discussed earlier.
So, main question that I've always been wondering, like since I had to insert you, tell us more about what it's like writing music in two different languages and like what goes on in your, like either what can go on in your head or instinct. Like, how is it writing in multiple languages?
Well, if I had to go back in time and give you a proper answer, like I said, I grew up in Italy, so Italian is my main language.
Mm-hmm.
But then I absorbed a lot of the English or Canadian influences just by the fact that my family here would send me video games and Disney cassettes and all of that in English.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that as a kid, I kind of absorbed all of that. Plus, then I went to language school, and in Italy, you do study English anyway from elementary school or middle school, something like that. And then I continued with languages. But funny enough, I feel like the first song I ever wrote, coming from a heartbreak, all of that, whatever, but it was in English. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was called Don't Go Away. Super cheesy. I never released it. Probably for the better. It's not even on YouTube or anything, so we're not going to look it up. But yeah, I started writing in English. Probably wasn't the best English at that time because I was probably 15, I believe. But yeah, and even to these days, even more because I've been living here, and I feel like at this point I think in English, I dream in English and all of that. It comes more natural to me to write in English. And I feel like the English as a language is also easier to write.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, not everyone might see it the same way, but
Yeah.
Italian, it's way more complicated. If you want to write
Like rhyming and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to write a proper deep song, I don't know. I might be wrong, but that's the way I feel too.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on the way of writing, because like writing lyrically could be easier in English, but writing grammatically,
Yeah.
like where you have three different ways of saying like there, and there, and like
Yeah,
saying bear
that's,
and bear.
that's what
like,
I
there's-
mean. And when
there's
you
multiple
apply
things.
that to songs or pop songs or whatever, I feel like it's easier in English.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So since your time started making music, how's your style changed since the beginning? Because you just talked about it a little bit,
Yeah.
but obviously you've been doing it for a while,
Yeah.
so you gotta have some sort of change.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been influenced by punk rock
Mhm.
and pop punk. That's a thing that I've seen staying in all these years that I've been performing live or doing music. But back then, like in Italy, with my bands that I had in Italy, I would, experiment. We did hard rock with one band, and a cover bands project,
Mhm.
and then progressive rock. So I was doing a little bit of everything, but at the same time, if we have to come down to what I've been writing, it was always singer-songwriter. And then when I moved to Canada and I found this producer that had the same influences as me, from Cugini Hub in Vaughan, we kind of found a common ground, and we started producing a few of these songs, like the last one that you heard, in a more alternative punk rock style, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, as you know, being an artist isn't easy. Now, what are some ways that you have to cope with either grief or stress, or what type of anxiety, either if it's performance anxiety or like creator's block or anything like that? What are your three best ways of dealing with roadblocks?
I wouldn't say it's a best way at all, but cigarettes.
No
If I can
judgment.
say that. Yeah, it's not. It's like I can say that's one of the best way we can give that advice. But I do smoke cigarettes, trying to quit. It's hard, and I do feel like that's the way to cope with stress and anxiety. Other than that, yeah, like I'm glad that I have these. And I've been talking with my partner in the past couple of days. I have built since I was a kid these good coping mechanism where if I'm feeling an intense feeling because of anything in life, I wouldn't say that I experienced grief like with family yet much, but yeah, if it could be a loss of a partner or anything. But yeah, I've been coping with writing music, and that's the best way. And I don't know if you guys can understand this, but I always thank my parents for putting me into that field.
No, that's
Because
understandable.
otherwise,
yeah.
I mean, I would have been playing soccer in Italy or something else at this
Yeah.
point, you know? And maybe it would have been easier. Because, like you said, easy is not, it's not a word that we can use in this business, you know?
I mean, being a soccer player isn't necessarily easy either.
Yeah,
Nothing's easy.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, at the end of the day, I agree. But yeah, the best way to cope with anything is, for me at least, it's been music, and that's what I've been feeling throughout the years. That it kept me alive, it kept me going, kept me focused on a goal, or simply just writing song and sharing it with people. It's a good mindset to have to keep you excited in life.
Yeah.
Now, talking about sharing with people, what are 3 key notes you would want to tell an artist like in the similar lane as you to look out for when it comes to finding a team to assemble around you?
Yeah. Well, you have to, as lame as it might sound, you have to be true to yourself, and you do have to go out there and push yourself, network a lot, because I've done a lot of that. And just keep writing and build a little EPK or a catalog, something that can showcase how you truly feel and are with your music. And I did had situations where people would resonate and come to me, or vice versa. So you do have to kind of put yourself out there at the end of the day, whether it's a song, TikTok, or whatever social media you use, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some like key skills and traits, like when you're looking for these type of people, like what are some things that you know in your head? It's like, okay, that's a green flag. Like I would that's a good marker for being like an agent, or like helping me with like anything behind the scenes.
Well, I don't have a proper management or anything that I can mention, to be honest, but I did find a best friend a couple of years ago, probably 4 years ago. It was the beginning of COVID, if I'm not wrong. And me and this guy, Daniel Dorta, I don't know if you guys would know him, but he's a photographer in the industry, Dorta's Photography. We just connected. I had put a song out with the rapper in Toronto about the situation that was going on back then. And I kind of found him taking photos at different events, and we connected. He came over. We worked together on the first time ever that we met for 13 hours.
Wow.
And yeah, that was kind of the thing that we, relate. We were starting to talk about music, obviously, and we're not spending time together. And that's not that you don't spend that many hours with someone that you just met, right?
No.
Whether it's a guy or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of found each other connecting, and we've been friends since then. And he's been my photographer, now videographer as well, because he's getting into that.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, on a personal level, he felt very genuine, very supportive, and he's been there, curating my merch when I put out merch, shooting all my shows. So at the end of the day, a really genuine, supportive person comes along, right? It's good to have around you, and he's been one of those, to be honest. So shout out to him.
So what are 2 similarities and 2 differences when it comes to performing in Canada versus Italy? I don't know if maybe you did any shows or...
Yeah, I was doing shows in Italy. The issue was that coming from a small town of 10,000 people right now, that it might even not be that small, because I know there's smaller towns even here. But for me, it was a small town, right?
Yeah.
And I a lot of times, me performing in English, me trying to put myself out there, it's not that I didn't get opportunities, because I did have a couple people believing in me and giving me a showcase or whatnot, but it was hard to dream big, right? And it would have been like, you either go to Milan or Rome, or I'm Italian Canadian, why not go to Toronto? So I flew all the way here and started, like I said, making music here, and it's just here it's easier to connect with people. That's I don't know why. It's just easier, right? What's up? As an Italian, connecting with people in English here, it was way easier. Whether in Italy they're a little more, how can I say, they're full of themselves.
I get that.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
I'm half Portuguese, so similar.
Okay.
I didn't say that. Don't worry, I didn't say that. But
Yeah, that's the difference, to be honest. Here, people are more humble, and it's easier to connect with people, and that's why I kind of stayed here, and I kept making connections, and now we're here, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. Coming up after the music break, we'll be back with Alessandro to discuss his future and hear some final words of wisdom.
Don't forget that you can follow us on social media at the Media Hub at DCSA Media Hub. You could also follow us at MBM Vault on Twitter and Instagram, and at the MBM Vault on TikTok.
We're gonna play some music. Here's "Cruel Summer" by Taylor Swift, live from the Media Hub on RiotRadio.ca.
It was like this, though.
Welcome back to the MBM Vault. We're your hosts, Nicholas Carlo
and Sophie Young. We're back with Alessandro to discuss some final words of wisdom and discuss your future.
Now, in general, like, what are your plans in the music industry going forward?
First of all, I don't know if I'm that wise yet. But, well, in general, I'm working on new songs. Like I said, I had the chance to write a couple new songs that I'm really proud of from this relationship that I'm living. But other than that, I do have a song that's called Smoking Sigarette, and it's half in Italian, half in English.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I wrote a bit with my best friend,
Yeah.
Daniel, the photographer that I was mentioning earlier. And it literally came from just us hanging out in the apartment I had on Yonge Street, downtown Toronto. And it was like 5 a.m. and we just sat down, and he was like, I've known you for 4 years. You're Italian. You need to write something that it's down your path, down your route, and that kind of reflects who you are. So, like, you do drink espresso all the time. You do smoke cigarettes. It's a typical, right,
Yeah.
a European Italian stereotype in a way. And so we wrote this song together, and I've been performing it live in the past couple of years, and started recording it in last couple months, basically, with my band. And yeah, that's one of the songs that I look forward to release this year, probably as a first release of the year. Yeah, and I do have a couple of shows that I'm planning in Toronto again.
Nice.
But I'm not
Yeah.
giving any details because we don't know days
Obviously.
yet.
Yeah.
Now, in the industry in general, who is your dream music collaboration with?
I mean, you guys know the band Maneskin, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, they kind of became big all around the world thanks to X Factor and their cover of Begging and all that.
Yeah.
And but yeah, that's one of my recent influences in the past couple of years. One, for one of the reasons, because they made me proud in a way as an Italian that lives abroad, seeing that exploding with their, rock and their energy. I've seen them in Toronto a couple of times already, and Damiano, the singer, is actually doing a solo project right now. I think he's performing at Coca-Cola Coliseum next year. So if I had to think, like, right now, that would be a sweet collaboration.
Yeah.
That's a really good answer. I mean, I found out about Maneskin when they won Eurovision in 2021. And when I heard about that, it's like, they've had one of the biggest Eurovision songs of all time. I followed that contest pretty closely, so it's like that's always been one of my favorite acts to come from the show as well. I love Maneskin as well.
I love that. Yeah, I've been following Eurovision too, as you can imagine, as an Italian.
Oh, of course.
You always want to, get to that level eventually.
Yeah.
And Maneskin did it, so props to them.
So, would you say that you keep up with trends in the music industry, or do you kind of just do your own thing?
Sometimes I wish I was younger because it's hard for me to get on TikTok. And just, follow the trends. It's kind of hard. I do follow and try to replicate, or always with my own type of ways and influences. But I'm not doing that on a daily basis. That's the thing. And you know how it is. If you want to, follow the trends and go with the trends and kind of have more chances to reach more people, that's the way you got to do it. I'm guilty of not doing it every day, but I do try. I got to be honest with it.
And we talked a bit earlier about your creative process. Now, I have one specific song I want to pick your brain about, and it's Life. Because that song, when I listened to it for the first time, I'm like, there's a lot of instrumental switches, and it caught me off guard in a good way, and I want to pick your brain about that song.
It still catches me off guard. Because that's a song that, funny enough, I wrote, I think I was 2 years in since I moved to Canada, and I was living with my grandparents, and it just came as a song of kind of telling my parents how much I miss them, or my family and friends in Italy, and how much I sacrificed in my own way to come here and pursue my dreams and leave everything else behind, right? That's kind of the message that I kind of wanted to communicate with that song. And but then when I brought it up to my producer, again, keep in mind, it started as I don't want to say country song, because I don't really play country. I would never consider myself a country artist or anything. But it came as a folky country song. And then when we produced it in studio, it became this massive, crazy switches that you heard today, right?
Yeah. Well,
and
not today, like the past.
I mean,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah, nowadays or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, that was kind of my producer putting his own creative input in it, and I did like it. But nowadays I always feel like I want to record a band versions of it, because there is a deeper meaning for me behind that song, and I feel like that version that I put out, it kind of still feels to me like it could have been a remix. It could have been something down that line.
Yeah.
Rather than the original
idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you have any final words of wisdom for the people watching?
Like follow me on Instagram.
Whatever you want.
No, like I said, that's always put yourself out there, stay true to yourself. And I'm someone that I've been doing music for a very long time, 15 years, and I still don't give up. I don't want to give up. I still try to put myself out there and connect with people, and lead my life and everything I do in life towards and thanks to music. And I feel like that's the way you gotta be if you really believe in something, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then follow me on social media. Why
Yeah.
not?
That was gonna be the last one. Do you have any person to shout out? Any social medias to shout out? Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, like I said, my best friend, he was actually gonna come here this morning, but because he lives in Little Italy, funny enough.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, I don't know if I'm gonna wake up at
Yeah,
6
it's pretty
a.m.
early.
It's been hard for me too.
Yeah.
I'm not an early person, and yeah.
Neither are we.
But we're here. That's
Yeah.
what matters.
That's what's important.
Yeah.
Well, that's the end of the episode today. Thank you all for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you for Alessandro for joining us today. You can find him on Instagram at AlessMontMusic. You can follow the Media Hub on social media at DCSA Media Hub. You can also follow us at MBM Vault on Twitter and Instagram, and at the MBM Vault on TikTok.
That's all for this week's episode. Now let us listen to Dear God by Tate McRae, playing us out from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca.